There's a thought you've had before. Maybe at a family dinner, maybe in a meeting at work, maybe while everyone around you was laughing at something you didn't find funny. The thought was, am I the only one who sees this? And the scariest part? You didn't say it out loud. Not because you were afraid, but because you already knew no one would understand. And even if they tried, they'd think you were the weird one. If that's ever happened to you, this video was made for you. Because today, we're going inside the minds of high IQ people. Not to make you feel superior, not to give you a label, but to show you the thoughts that highly intelligent people carry silently every single day, and why almost never they say them out loud. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is about understanding how the mind works, why some people think differently, and how to use that to your advantage in real life. Now, before we dive in, I want to be really clear about something. When I say high IQ in this video, I don't mean someone who scored 145 on a test. I mean people who think deeply, people who notice patterns, people who feel like their brain never fully shuts off, even when they desperately want it to. You might be one of them, and if you are, you already know the strange loneliness that comes with it. So let's get into it. Here are the things high IQ people think, but almost never say. You're at work. Your manager calls a big meeting. He's excited. He starts explaining this new initiative, a plan the company is rolling out. And as he's talking, you're nodding along. But inside your head, you've already run the simulation. You've already seen the 3 ways this plan falls apart. You've already noticed the assumption they made in slide 2 that completely undermines slide 7. You can already picture the email chain in 3 months that says, "We are pivoting the strategy." And here's what you don't say. This isn't going to work. Not because you're wrong, but because you've learned the hard way that saying it just makes you look like the negative one, the pessimist, the person who isn't a team player. So you smile, you nod, and you wait. High IQ people have an almost frustrating ability to pattern match the future. They've seen similar situations before, maybe not the exact situation, but the structure of it, the shape of it, and their brain almost automatically runs the prediction. The philosopher Nassim Taleb called this the problem of being right too early, which in social settings is functionally the same as being wrong. Because the world doesn't reward foresight, it rewards agreement. And so, they stay quiet.
Here's an uncomfortable one. Most highly intelligent people, if they're being honest, don't actually enjoy small talk. Not because they're snobs, but because their brain is wired to look for meaning and depth in every exchange. And small talk, by design, has neither. Think about it. When someone asks, "How was your weekend?" they're not actually asking. It's social lubricant, a ritual. And high IQ people know this. They can see the ritual. So what happens? They either play along and feel vaguely hollow afterward, or they accidentally go too deep too fast, and the other person looks at them like they just spoke in a different language. I had a friend, incredibly sharp guy, who once told me that his biggest social struggle was calibrating. His words, not mine. He said, every conversation, he's doing this internal math. How much of what I'm actually thinking can I say right now without making this weird? And the answer, most of the time, was almost none of it. That loneliness is real, and it's not the kind of loneliness that comes from being alone in a room. It's the kind that comes from being surrounded by people and still feeling like you're on a different frequency. The thought they never say, "I wish I could just talk to someone on my level."
Okay, this one is kind of funny, and if you're a certain type of person, you're going to feel personally attacked, in a good way. High IQ people overthink. We all know this, but here's the thing nobody talks about. Most of the time, the overthinking is actually accurate. Like, yes, they spent 45 minutes analyzing a 2-sentence text message, but they also correctly identified that the person who sent it was passive-aggressively upset. They were right. Yes, they stayed up until 2 a.m. running scenarios about a business decision, but they also caught the one flaw that would have cost thousands of dollars. They were right. The frustrating thing isn't the overthinking. The frustrating thing is that the people around them keep telling them you're overthinking it, and then later they find out the overthinker was right, again. The thought they never say, I know it looks like I'm spiraling, but I see something you don't. Just give me a minute. This is why a lot of high IQ people have a complicated relationship with trusting their own instincts. On one hand, their instincts are usually pretty good. On the other hand, they've been told their whole lives that they're too much, too analytical, too intense, too serious. Eventually, some of them learn to trust themselves, but it takes a long time and a lot of being right while everyone else told them they were wrong.
This might be the most important one in this entire video, so I want you to really hear this. High IQ people regularly, deliberately make themselves seem less intelligent in social situations, and it's not an accident, it's a survival skill they learned young. Think about it. A kid who always has the answer in class, what happens to them? They get called a nerd, they get excluded. They learn being too smart makes people uncomfortable. An adult who always spots the problem in the meeting, what happens? They get labeled as difficult, negative, arrogant. A person in a relationship who's always 3 steps ahead emotionally, what happens? Their partner feels stupid, feels talked down to, even when that was never the intention. So what do? They hold back. They ask questions they already know the answers to just so the other person feels heard. They let people explain things to them that they understood in the first 10 seconds. They laugh at jokes they decoded 2 beats before everyone else. They perform being less than they are. And here's the dark part. Do this long enough, you start to lose yourself. You start to forget where the performance ends and the real you begins. The thought they never say, and I mean never because saying it sounds unbearably arrogant, is, I'm not showing you everything I've got because every time I have, it's cost me something. That's not pride, that's pain.
Here's the paradox at the center of high intelligence that nobody talks about. The smarter you are, the more you realize how much you don't know. That's not a metaphor, that's literally how it works. Psychologists call it the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people with less knowledge tend to be more confident because they can't see the edges of what they don't understand. Highly intelligent people can see those edges very clearly, and it's terrifying. They question their own reasoning. They second-guess their conclusions. They'll argue both sides of an issue inside their own head, sometimes so thoroughly that they end up with more uncertainty than when they started. To everyone watching, this sometimes looks like indecisiveness or lack of confidence, but it's actually the opposite. It takes real intellectual courage to say, I don't know, when everyone around you is nodding confidently. It takes real strength to hold complexity without collapsing it into a simple answer just to feel better. The thought they never say, I'm not sure, and I'm the most sure person in this room. This is the one that I think surprises people the most when they first hear it. High IQ people are often exhausted, and it has nothing to do with their schedule. Their brain doesn't have an off switch, or if it does, someone lost the remote a long time ago. They wake up in the morning, and the thinking is already started. They go to bed, and the thinking is still going. They're in the shower, and they're solving a problem. They're watching a movie, and they're analyzing the plot structure. There's a term for this, cognitive overload, but it doesn't quite capture the lived experience. It's not just that there's too much information, it's that the brain is always processing, always connecting dots, always asking why. And that is genuinely, deeply exhausting in a way that's hard to explain to someone who doesn't experience it. What they don't say, because it sounds either dramatic or like a humble brag, is, I am so tired of my own mind, I just want to feel quiet. Stillness for a lot of highly intelligent people is not a natural state. It's something they have to work toward. Meditation, physical exercise, creative flow states, these aren't just hobbies, they're medicine. Last one, and maybe the most socially dangerous one. High IQ people, especially emotionally intelligent ones, are often incredibly good at reading people. They pick up on micro-expressions, tone shifts, the thing someone said versus the thing they meant, the behavior pattern that reveals a hidden motive. And they usually know very quickly when someone is lying to them, when someone is performing, when someone's kindness has a transaction hidden inside it. The thought they never say, "I already know what you're doing, and I'm choosing to let you think it's working." Why don't they say it? Because calling it out would blow up the interaction. Because sometimes the relationship isn't worth the confrontation. Because honestly, it's sometimes easier to let people be who they are without making them aware that you can see exactly who that is. But this is also where high IQ people can get hurt, because they extend so much grace. They see the manipulation, they understand it, they even empathize with why the person is doing it, and they still stay too long, give too many chances. Intelligence doesn't protect you from getting hurt. It just means you understand exactly what happened. So let's pull all of this together. High IQ people think deeply. They predict accurately. They read the room with precision. They carry more complexity in their heads than most people would want to. And they do most of it in silence. Not because they're hiding, but because the world, for most of their lives, has quietly taught them that too much of who they are is too uncomfortable for the room. If any of this resonated with you, I want you to think about something. The thoughts you hold back, the versions of yourself you've dimmed down, the times you've chosen silence not out of fear, but out of protection, those aren't weaknesses. Those are signs of a mind that has learned how to navigate a world that wasn't quite built for it. And the most powerful thing you can do is find your people, the ones who don't need you to be smaller, the ones who can hold the full weight of the conversation. They exist, and they're probably watching videos exactly like this one. If this video made you feel seen, even a little bit, please drop a comment below and tell me which one hit the hardest for you. I read every single one. And if you know someone who thinks like this, who's always been a little too much for the people around them, share this video with them. Sometimes people just need to know they're not alone. If you're new here, welcome. Hit subscribe. We talk about psychology, mindset, and how the human brain actually works. No fluff, just real. I'll see you in the next one.